dies.
Welcome to another Maritime Wrestling interview. I am the Maritime Warrior, along with my group of merry men. Today we have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Big Bad LG Logan Green himself. How's it going?
That's right, baby. It's me, the Big Bad LG. And you know what, boys? I am so happy to be here on the Unofficial Maritime Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for having me, boys. This is great.
Thank you for coming on. It's our pleasure. So, first question we have for you. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up? Mainstream wrestling and maritime wrestling.
Oh, boys, I grew up in the golden era of professional wrestling, baby. So you know what? The guys I grew up watching were guys like Ravishing Rick Rude, Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, and my personal favorite on top of that list, Mr. Perfect, baby, Kurt Hennig. Those are the guys that I always looked up to growing up. Beautiful technicians in the ring, but also dastardly heels. They could be good guys, they could be bad guys. You put them in any situation, and they're going to make the most out of it, and they're going to make the best of it. So those are the guys that I looked up to in that scene. As far as the local scene, I was an XWA guy, boys. I went to all the XWA shows growing up. So the guys I think of when I look back in those times are guys like Dick Durning, Ryan Heath, guys like that. And hey, there was this guy, he called himself Shahir Rasool. Whatever happened to that guy? That guy was a menace. Holy. You know, guys like that. These are the people that I watched growing up. These are the people that I looked up to.
So, who introduced you to maritime wrestling scene?
Well, that would be my father. Former XWA heavyweight champion himself. Took the belt off Dick Durning. My daddy, Mass Destruction, Robert Rogue. He was the best. I used to go to all the local shows. I used to go to St. John at the LBR, the shows in Fredericton here back when they were at the Boys Farmers Market, all kinds of things like that. So when my father wrestled, his first match, I believe, was in 2007, and they were doing shows back in the day at the AQ, which was an old bar in St. John. So I wasn't exactly old enough to go to those shows yet, but I always watched them on footage afterwards, and then once they started going to the LBR, that's when I would watch my dad. He used to have, handicap matches against the Wave Riders. You remember those guys? The Wave Riders?
I do.
He used to wrestle Santana, all kinds of people. So, yeah, that's how I got started, man. I just went to all the local shows, watched everything, and here we are.
Isn't one of the Wave Riders still wrestling in Caden, right?
Absolutely. Port City's finest, baby. I love Caden. Caden's a great guy. I've known Caden for many, many years. And, yeah, it's great to see him still doing his thing, still kicking, and still putting around the scene.
Cool. So when you said that you started attending the shows with your dad, how old were you when you started attending the shows?
Oh, geez. I believe I was around 13 years old. So that was a dog's age ago. Now I'm 31 as of right now. So I'm not much of a math guy. When you're this pretty, you don't need to be that smart, right? So you guys can do the math and we'll figure it out.
Cool. So when did you decide to get in the ring as a referee?
Oh, geez. So it's kind of a random occurrence how this happened. So one day, I'll tell you, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't tell this story. It's a little embarrassing on my part, but whatever, who cares? One day I was scouring the web looking for wrestling stuff to buy, as some people do, whatever. I was looking around and I'm like looking for old DVDs, whatever, what have you, stuff like that. And I come across this ad. And it's a signed Hacksaw Jim Duggan 2x4 and a whole whack of just burnt, super illegal wrestling DVDs. So I'm like, yep, I'm all over that. Let me buy these. And I went and met the guy. And turns out he used to wrestle with my father. I'll give you a little hint who it was. He was the owner of NWE Pro Wrestling. They called him Precious Preston Carter.
Yep.
So I met him. We did a little bit of talking, and he goes, "What do you want all these DVDs for?" Blah, blah, blah. We're chatting it up, whatever. And then he goes, "Wait a second, you look familiar." I said, "Actually, I think you look pretty familiar too." He goes, "Do you ever go into the local wrestling scene?" Blah, 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 blah. And then we got to talk and turns out he wrestled back then as the pledge. He wrestled with my dad. So he offered to me, he goes, "Man, anytime you want to come up to a show, come on up and you can do whatever. You can help out and then we'll figure something out for you." So I went from there. I attended my first show with him at, I think it was the Willie O'Ree Place, 2014 during the Bushwhacker Loop Tour.
Okay.
So I showed up there and I worked security for a couple shows, and then I was still going to NWE events pretty frequently. I didn't really have a spot yet, so I was trying to find any way that I could get involved. So I figured they were a little short on referees, so I thought, okay, maybe this would be the best way for me to get started, is to jump in as a referee. Like, what better way to learn the ins and outs of the professional wrestling industry than to have the best seat in the house every night, get to find out the inner workings of the business backstage, psychology in the ring, timing, pacing, all of these things all comes into with being a referee. So one night, Halloween Hell 2015 at the Miramichi Kin Center, a referee couldn't make it, and all of a sudden, you got a shirt, you want a ref tonight, and conveniently enough, I had a shirt ready to go, and then it just took off from there.
Excellent.
Great to hear. But yeah, kind of touching on that question, I have one here myself. But now, what decided you to make the jump from referee to being a performer in the ring, and what was the transition like?
Well, listen, Mark, if you'd shut the hell up for a second, I can answer your question, okay? So settle down here, partner, and I'll say something.
Will do.
So what happened there is my goal originally from the beginning was to become a wrestler. But sometimes, things just don't work out like that. So it turns out when I started refereeing, I was actually pretty good at it. So they wanted to keep me around. So the transition was happening organically throughout that time. I was training with Ryan Heath in St. John during the summer months. When I worked at St. Thomas University, I had the entire summers off. So I would stay in St. John and I would train with Ryan Heath in an MMA gym with no wrestling ring, on training mats, and at the end of every single session, I had to spend 5 minutes in the cage with Ryan Heath. So, tell you right now, guys, I didn't have the most friendly training experience. So, we'll tell you that right now. So, I always tried to switch over, but the timing, things just never worked out properly. So, all of a sudden, in CCW, here we are years later. I was out of the business for a couple years after NWE closed down. And I was looking for the right opportunity to jump back in, looking for a good time. And then CCW came up, and it's local, it's in my city. So I thought, hey, all right, let's get back into it. So I started reffing there, and I'm just getting the itch, man. I'm getting the itch. I'm seeing it go down. I want to wrestle once in my hometown in front of all my friends and family. I always said that once. And the transition was actually a lot smoother than I anticipated because of my training from years back. Honestly, it really didn't take me long to get back up to speed. And within a month or two of me saying I wanted to wrestle, we already had plans going for me to start wrestling. So it was very quick.
Oh man, great to hear. And now, if I may, now that you're wrestling, now that you are a performer, what does your daily training regimen look like?
You know what? This guy's kind of giving me the creeps. Can anybody ask a normal question around here? Mark to Mark, I'll answer your question, all right? My training regimen, a guy like you, I know you probably want to get as jacked as I am. So I'm not going to give you all the gritty, nitty-ditty details, all right, buddy? I'll give you a little bit of tidbit here and there. So when I wake up every morning, the first thing I do is I walk to the bathroom and I look at myself in the mirror and I thank me for being here today. I use the bathroom. I lift weights at the Naturally Fit directly down the road from my house. I could run in about 18 seconds to the gym if I want to, Mark to Mark. So you know what? I wake up every morning. I'm excellent. I work out. I look at myself and I wonder, gee, why didn't I do this a lot sooner?
All right then.
Sounds good.
So to change subject a little bit to some other current things, you're now the king of Real Savage Pro Wrestling.
Oh,
So
yeah,
congratulations!
That's right,
Congratulations on
much.
that. I'm not Mark the Mark, so you can be nicer to me. So other than wearing the crown and inflating your ego, what does being the king mean?
Listen, I resent your question a little bit. There's nothing about ego. It's about the right thing for the kingdom, baby. And I am the best possible choice to be the leader of Real Savage Pro Wrestling, baby. So let me tell you, when that crown laid upon my beautiful head, it felt so right, so beautiful. And you know what? Finally, the people of Real Savage Pro Wrestling can have someone that they look up to, someone for their kids to aspire to be. And that's me, the big bad LG, baby. So heavy is the head that wears the crown, and I'm going to do whatever I want in my new kingdom, baby. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, Does that mean I have a title shot at any time that I want? So you know what? I'm going to pick the bones, whether it's that big, stinky, dirty, nasty giant Orion or that little puke that I tossed over the top rope to win the Battle Royal, baby. Dominic Warrior, whatever you want to call yourself, buddy. I might just come for your title, too. And you know what? If I'm feeling up for a bit of a challenge, I'll take on the big, stinky giant. So both of you guys, you need to be ready, waiting, and bow down at the feet of your new king and future champion, baby.
All right. What are your thoughts on the current state of maritime wrestling?
I think the scene is in the healthiest place that it's ever been right now. You know, going up throughout the years, we've seen a lot of fly-by-night promotions that come and go, and a lot of shady promoters that can't be trusted and leave the scene in a worse scene than when you got there. And my trainer always taught me that you leave the business in a better place than when you got there. That's what you do. You need to give back to the professional wrestling industry. You need to take it seriously, and you need to not disrespect the fans. So as of right now, all the promotions that are involved in maritime wrestling are doing very well. Everyone's doing very well, and it just seems that wrestling is in a whole new boom period right now. So it's, you know, there's not people. I don't have any closeted wrestling fan friends anymore. Everybody's out in the
Yeah.
open about it. Everybody likes wrestling. They're happy talking about it. So you know what? As for the state of maritime wrestling in general, I think it's very, very good right now.
I completely agree. It's a fantastic time to be in the maritime scene.
Absolutely.
Who are some of your favorite guys other than yourself? Who are some of your favorite guys to watch?
How did you know that I was going to pick me? Come on, I love me. But first of all,
That's right.
let's go on with some of the guys that I enjoy being around, and that's guys like, you know, Scott Lee Crew, JP Sims, you know, Hollywood Cole, Jason Boa. There's a lot of guys that I could run the list down. Chris Charters, also another one of my favorites, and actually a huge supporter of mine and a very good friend. So I really like Chris Charters. I love everything he brings to the business. He's a great veteran. He helps out anybody he can, and you know what? That guy is just, how could you hate him? He's a great guy. There's an appearance from my cat. But yeah, so like I said, guys like JP Sims, Rugged Rick Owens, Scott Lee Crew, and there's a few younger guys coming up on the scene that I really like as well. Guys like Rudy Lockhart, his tag team partner. You know, there's a Deuce out from Halifax. You know, there's a lot of guys coming up right now that I'm big fans of. You know.
Who would be some guys that you haven't worked with yet that you would love to work with?
Oh, just right off the top is Chris Charters, man. I would love to do something with Chris Charters. JP Sims is another guy, man. I just want to tag team with him once. I think we could tear the place down. Let me tell you right now. And I would love to have a one-on-one match with Rudy, and you know, some things. Yeah, even Jason Boa as well. I'd love to wrestle him. And yeah, even teaming up with Scott Lee Crew just one time would be what a dastardly team that would be. Find me two bigger dirtbags in maritime wrestling than me and Scott Lee Crew. I mean, come on. They'd be throwing dog treats at us. Give me a break.
So, what are some of your goals for the rest of 2025?
You know what? I'll tell you right now, boys. It's great to be healthy. It's great to be back. And it's great to be me. Because after 8 months of sitting on my pretty little behind, eating ho-hos and hostess cakes, playing video games, I think it's time to take things a little more seriously. So now that I'm able to walk, able to move around freely, able to train as I normally trained before my injury, I can dive back into this and give it my 100%. So there's a few titles that I have in my rear view right now. So I'm looking at the River Valley Championship. Boy, that title would just look so good right around my beautiful waist. And I would like every title in Real Savage. Give me the IWTV Championship. Heck, I might even get my tag team championship back in CCW, and I would love to be the first Triple Crown winner in CCW.
That would be cool.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of TV, we recently saw you on an episode of Easy Eats with Chef Eve on Roger TV. So do we expect any more TV appearances out of you?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I'm just getting started. I'm just getting my feet wet. I'm walking up to the beautiful sandy beach in Mexico and I'm dipping my toe in the water, baby. So I'll tell you right now, the Big Bad LG isn't exclusive to your podcast screen or your YouTube screen or your wrestling screen. I want to be everywhere. Everywhere you look. It's like a crappy radio jingle from the 80s. You hate it, but you can't get it out of your damn head. That's what I want to be. So you're going to see me all over different entertainment avenues, such as pro wrestling, such as television. Heck, I might even do some local theater. Heck, I might even be in a play. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Now, if I may ask you an additional question.
All right, we'll give you one more, Mark. Make it quick, buddy.
We'll start there. But we did notice that recently you did get a new tattoo with some casino-themed elements to it. Could you share the meaning behind it?
Absolutely. I'll share the meaning behind it for a peon such as yourself who doesn't understand basic pictures. It's a picture on my arm of cards, dice, and chips. What do you think that means, Mark to Mark? I'm going to break it down for you real quick just so someone like you can even understand. I like gambling. I like poker. I work as a poker dealer as another job to sustain my beautiful lifestyle. So, you know what? Life's a gamble. Life is not easy, and sometimes you got to bet on yourself, baby. So that's what that means. You got to bet on yourself, take no shortcuts through life, and hell, if you can win a little money along the way, that's even better, baby.
Good. But if I may, maybe one last question.
You got it.
Question. Awesome. Thank you so much. So outside of, the habits or the things you enjoy out of life that you mentioned there, do you have any other endeavors outside of wrestling?
Of course, besides beautiful women, fantastic food, boat parties, yacht parties, all that good stuff, golf. I love it all, baby. But you know what? I have a lot of endeavors outside, but I don't want creeps like you following me around up and down the street. Logan, can we get a picture? Logan, can we get an autograph? Oh my God, please shut up. Quit following me around. My personal business is my business, all right? So the things that I do are for me and not for you.
My apologies.
All right. Where can people come out and see you? Do you have any upcoming shows you'd like to promote?
I got so many upcoming shows. My secretary is overloaded with information. She almost quit. Logan, there's so many bookings coming in. What do we do? I can't upkeep with all this information. We need more shirts. We need more autographs. Yeah. I'll give you a raise if you can get it done, sweetheart. So let me tell you whatever shows I'm going to be at. First up is this weekend, actually, in PEI. April 5th, baby. I'll be wrestling. Rick Owens, a little country redneck boy. I'll be wrestling him at Charlottetown PEI for IPW TakeOver. So you can find me there. And next, I will be at IHW's Over the Top Rumble in Miramichi on April 12th. So you know what? Who has better experience in winning battle royals right now in the Maritimes than me? I threw 19 men over the top rope by myself. No matter what anybody else says, I eliminated 19 men, even though I came out 14th. I eliminated every single man in that Rumble. So if anybody has experience with that, it's me. Next up on the slot here, April 25th, MBWA Mayhem and Minto. I'll be wrestling Spike Esty. And you know what, Spike? I see your hot little mama always winking at me in the crowd. And you know what? I'm thinking about taking her for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. So you know what, baby? I got one question for you, Carol Esty. How do you like your salmon, baby? And the next night, I'll be wrestling him as well in Fredericton. And if he didn't have enough beating on the first night, the second night's going to put him in the poorhouse, baby. Because when I finish him off and he calls me Stepdaddy LG, he's going to love it. And I'll be opening up presents with you on Christmas Day, and we can talk about it. Next up on the slot, we've got IHW Tag Team Mayhem, May 2nd in Riverview, New Brunswick. You know what's going down that night? I finally get my beautiful hands on that little piece of garbage Fantana who's been ducking me for 8 months. He broke my leg, and now I'm going to break his spirit. I'm going to end his wrestling career, baby. Because Fantana, I'm bigger than you, I'm badder than you, and baby, I'm just plain better than you. Next up, we have RSPW, Real Savage Pro Wrestling, War Machines, and Tracadie, New Brunswick on May 3rd. So you know what? I've got a lot of time to think about which champion I would like to cash in my anytime championship match contract on. But you know what? It could happen just like that. It could happen in 2 months. It could happen overnight. Heck, I might go to Dominic Warrior's house tonight, knock on his door, give him the piece of paper, and schoolboy him right there and take my belt back home. So guys, keep watch and find me at Real Savage with a piece of gold around my shoulder real quick. And the next one after that, May 16th, IHW, Nobody's Home in Amherst, Nova Scotia. So you know what that means. The big bad LG is traveling across 3 different provinces in 1 month, baby. They can't get enough of me. They're calling me from everywhere. Zimbabwe, Indiana, everywhere, Denmark. They all want a piece of the big bad LG. And you know what? I've never been to Denmark before. I hear they got some cute Swedish girls. So let's go. And you know what? We got one more show coming up at the end of May, which will be for CCW's next Clash event. Date to be determined. So keep watch on all my social medias to find out where the big bad LG is going to be next.
I think we've come to the end of the interview. Is there anything else you want to tell the people before we end it?
You know what, boys? I'd just like to end this with a little bit of love. Thank you guys for having me and gracing myself with the presence of you for 22 minutes. You know what? This was great, guys. You talked a little bit too much, let me say. I didn't really get to speak enough. So next time, I want you guys to shut the hell up and I'll conduct the interview. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
I might just fire the other 3 and hire you because this channel finally has some class now. So
That's right, boys. You know what? Your viewership's going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to be saying, how can I get on the Maritime Wrestling Podcast? I can't wait. LG, you were so good. You were so beautiful. Everyone loves you. Except Mark the Merc.
with that being said, it was our honor to have Big Bad LG, the RSPW King, the future champion of all of Maritime Wrestling. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and remember to catch us here every Wednesday for a new episode. Please visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and more. Links are in the description. See you next time.
Don't miss out and don't be late. Hear wrestling talk that's first rate. Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock.